I got 3 of these wooden arrow signs from Dollar Tree. So all I did was just pull off the strings that were on the back. And I'm going to be using some Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster. This is just going to be my base coat. And this only required 1 coat for all 3. Once these were completely covered, go ahead and just allow them to completely dry. Once those were completely dry, now I'll be using Waverly chalk paint in the color Ocean. For 2 of these arrows, I'm just covering up the top portion of the signs. And then for the 3rd arrow, I'm just covering the bottom portion of it. And again, once this is completely covered, you want to just allow it to thoroughly dry. Once dry, now I'll be using Waverly chalk paint in the color Crimson. And I am just creating some details to these fireworks, which is what I am creating out of these arrows. So I did draw out some curvy lines before going in and painting it. So I highly recommend you do that as well. This part does not have to be absolutely perfect, and I will show you why in just a little bit. So once this is completely covered to how you would like, put those 2 fireworks aside, and we're going to work on the 3rd one. So for this one, I just drew some vertical lines at the tip, and I'm just filling that in with that Waverly chalk paint in the color Crimson. Allow everything to dry. Now this star stencil I did get off of Amazon. I'll be using Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster with a very tiny foam dabber. So I'm just holding that stencil down to make sure it does not move around on me when I am dabbing my paint. Very important when working with stencils like this, you want to make sure that you have a very thin amount of chalk paint or acrylic paint on your foam dabber. And you also want to make sure that you're not putting too much pressure down when you are applying this paint. That will prevent any kind of bleeding or anything like that. And for this, I didn't use the entire stencil. I just kind of randomly selected some stars to fill in, and I think that came out so cute. So now using Waverly chalk paint in the color Ink and Plaster, I'm going to be using a very fine paintbrush, and I'm just going to be adding some squiggly lines all around the fireworks and also around the red portion. This is just to give it a little bit more of a dimension, and this will also cover up some of those imperfections. That's if you have any. So first I outlined the fireworks with black, allowed that to completely dry, and then I just did the same thing with the Plaster chalk paste. And again, I feel like this gave it so much more dimension, and it just really brought it to life. I think these came out so awesome. And you can't forget to add the fuse for the fireworks. So I just did a little swirl at the bottom of 2 out of 3 of those fireworks. And look at how awesome these look. So now using a pizza pan that I got from Dollar Tree, I'll be using Folk Art chalk paint in the color Maui Sand. I just gave this pizza pan 2 good coats of this color. You want to allow everything to dry before moving on. And once that is dry, I'm doing a dry brush method using that Plaster chalk paint. So you just have to put a very small amount of chalk paint on your paintbrush and just go over the surface with very light brush strokes. And now to seal and protect that chalk paint, I'm just going over this with Waverly clear wax. So just add some on. A little bit does go a very long way. You want to just use a lint-free rag, and in circular motions, just rub that thoroughly into the chalk paint. So now we're going to start adding these fireworks onto the pizza pan. So first I'm using some of these Jenga blocks. These also came from Dollar Tree, and I'm just gluing those to all 3 of the fireworks. And I'm using my famous adhesive glue that also came from Dollar Tree with a mixture of hot glue to attach all 3 of these onto that pizza pan. You do want to make sure that you let this dry for about 30 minutes, preferably overnight, but at minimum about 30 minutes. For the sake of the video, I'm just going to roll with it and continue showing you how I finished this project. So I just got these Scrabble letters that also came from Amazon, just hot glued those on there, and it says, "Baby, you're a firework." You guys know I just had to sing it. And there you go, guys. Look at how adorable this came out. I hope this inspires you to create your own. If it did, please be sure to sprinkle the love. Thank you so, so much, and I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.